Okay, guys, so through the first 5 games this year for the Detroit Red Wings, they're off to a 2-3 start through 5 games. This kind of begs the question, are they going to improve this year or not? I think the answer is yes, probably more than likely they will improve from last year. I think they have some interesting pieces at play, some interesting prospects at play, and they're kind of going through the motions right now of a rebuild as we know it. They're in the rigors of it, and we're just going to kind of go over and look and see if this team is good enough to improve greatly or just improve by a little bit. As we know, they've made a lot of changes over the offseason, and rightfully so after the year they had last year. All right, so first let's take a look at this team's subtractions and their additions this past offseason. Let's start with the additions. First, they add Vlad Namestnikov, Bobby Ryan, Matthias Brome from Sweden, Mark Stahl, Troy Stetcher, John Merrill, Thomas Greiss. I think Greiss is a huge one. They needed better goaltending. Bernier's a good backup. He's not a number one goalie. Greiss has proven he can take the reins as a number one. I think so far he's proven that he's been pretty good through 5 games for the Red Wings. Obviously, still has a lot more of proving of himself to do, especially behind a Detroit team that's very young and still kind of fragile defensively. But that's a huge add for them. Their subtractions: Madison Bowie, Mike Green, Trevor Daley, Brendan Perlini, Justin Applicator, Jonathan Erickson, those guys. Other than Daley, maybe, even though he was injured a lot, the other guys were all kind of dead weight. All right, so let's get into this team's top 10 scorers. And first of all, the one who leads the way is newly minted captain Dylan Larkin. 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points. Bobby Ryan, 4 goals, no assists, 4 points. He's selfish. He doesn't like to pass the puck. But all kidding aside, I'm really happy to see Bobby Ryan having a good start here in Detroit. I hope it continues for him. Tyler Bertuzzi, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. Anthony Mantha, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. Philip Hronek, 2 assists. Franz Nielsen, 2 assists. Philip Zadina, 2 assists. Robbie Fabry, 1 goal and no assists for 1 point. He's only played a couple of games, though. He's been out with an injury. Mark Stahl has 1 assist. Patrick Nemeth has 1 assist. So the offense, they were last in the league in offense last year. And they were last in the league in defense last year. And when you combine those two together, that's just, you're asking for a huge disaster of a season, and that's exactly what Detroit had. I don't think I need to keep harping on that. You Red Wings fans know that. But how much has their offense really improved this year? Guys that need to get going, I think, are Vlad Namestnikov. Michael Rasmussen is another intriguing prospect. Sam Gagner hasn't recorded a point yet. He's a guy that they brought in for some offense. When Gagner was drafted by the Oilers in 2008, I think he was expected to be a lot better than he has been so far. But nonetheless, I think he can be a guy who will help Detroit going forward. I think he can get 10 to 15 goals. Philip Zadina is another prospect who I think really needs to pull his weight here now, because we all remember that classic 2018 draft when people thought he was going to go 3rd overall, then Montreal passed him. People thought he was going to go 4th overall, then Ottawa passed on him. And they took Brady Tkachuk instead, and there was a lot of talk. I myself was upset. I wanted Zadina for Ottawa at that time, but in hindsight now it's looking like Tkachuk is the better player so far. I have not written off Zadina yet, that's for sure. He's still very young and still has some time to prove himself, but the clock kind of is starting to tick. And then we all thought Arizona was going to take him 5th overall, and he falls to Detroit. It looked like the Red Wings got one of the biggest steals of the draft to that point. And so far, Zadina hasn't really proven his worth and hasn't really made good on his side of the bargain, with the Detroit Red Wings drafting him 6th overall. I think this team's offense will improve this year compared to last year. They bring in Bobby Ryan. I think Vlad Namestnikov's going to help with that. If they can get Philip Zadina going, if Anthony Mantha stays healthy and he can score at the pace he did a couple years ago, that'll definitely help as well. Tyler Bertuzzi and Dylan Larkin will probably take steps forward. If Michael Rasmussen can come in and be the player they drafted him to be, that'll really help as well. And even Troy Stetcher on the back end, I think, can help, because, well, he's not a guy who maybe had a great finish to his tenure in Vancouver. He is a guy who will come in and help Detroit. He's got good puck moving ability. I think he's got more offense to his game than he's shown. And even though he's not a defensive stalwart, I think he's a guy who can move the puck quickly, hopefully for Detroit. And as we all know, the Red Wings spent a lot of time defending in their own end last year, and they weren't very good at it. So he can maybe move the puck out for them quickly this year, so they don't have to be in their own end a lot, and they can cut down on their goals against. Thomas Greiss, as I alluded to earlier in the video, he'll really help cut down on those goals against as well. And even I think Jonathan Bernier can help cut down on the goals against too. And even though he's been criticized greatly over the last number of years in Detroit, and even before he came to Detroit, he was criticized by the other team's fan bases that he played for. Last year he had a .907 save percentage, 2.95 goals against average. He had 46 games played, 41 starts. Those numbers actually don't look too shabby on a team that was absolutely brutal last year. And Bernier was better than Howard. And now they have Thomas Greiss, who's a lot better than Jimmy Howard and even better than Jonathan Bernier. And like I said, that should really help their goals against as well going forward. They are a team that still does give up some shots against. They are a little bit leaky in that department. But I think if they can buckle down a little more defensively, plus the much more improved goaltending they have, that's going to really help. And the offensive guys that I mentioned earlier, that should help their offense improve as well. And that should just make them a better team in general. But there are some numbers here even early on that do need some great improvement if they want to take some steps forward. Their power play is only clicking at 8.3%. It's a very small sample size, so I really wouldn't panic over it. The penalty kill is clicking at 75%. Again, same deal like the power play, small sample size. But you don't want these trends to continue. You want to build good habits early on in the season. So when you're moving forward, especially as a young team, so when you're moving forward, you know, you have that confidence, especially on the penalty kill and the power play. Those are two things that take great confidence. And when you are confident, you can tell the difference between a power play or a penalty kill that's lacking that confidence and one that has it. So Detroit really needs to kind of pull up their bootstraps in that area, I guess, so to speak. Their shots for are kind of low, 26. Their shots against are okay, 31. I mean, that's okay for now. They need to cut down on that a little more. They need to get those shots for up a little more. Last year they were dead last in the league for shots for at only 27.1 per game they averaged. Shots against, they finished fifth worst at 32.8. And I think their shots for really shows you why they were last in goals for last season. If you're not shooting the puck, it's tough to score goals. I mean, it's pretty simple. And if you're playing in your own end a lot, they were fifth worst at giving up shots in a game. So if you're playing in your own end a lot, and plus couple that with Howard having his struggles last year, Jimmy Howard, Jonathan Bernier was okay for how bad the team was, but even he wasn't that adequate to be a number one goalie. So you couple all that together, and it's really no wonder why Detroit was such a disaster last season. And well, guys, I think it's safe to say that, the Red Wings are going to be better this year than last year, just because they were so bad last year. And it's kind of tough to be any worse than what they were. Also, they made some good additions too this season that helped them improve on paper and also improve on the ice too, I greatly believe. That's really going to help Detroit going forward. I think they've put themselves in a much better spot. They shouldn't be as much of an embarrassment as they were last year for them and their fans. But this also begs the question, how much is Detroit going to improve? And by how many points? Maybe they get the same amount of points as they had last year through 70-something games, through 56 games this year. I mean, wouldn't that be something if that was the case? With that being said, I don't even think the Red Wings get to 500 probably on this season. I think they finish below that. Maybe they get like 45 points or 40 points. They are going to improve their points percentage from last year for sure. But Red Wings fans, keep your heads up high. The future is bright. I think in another year or two, we could be talking about a Red Wings team that is pushing for the playoffs. Fortunately, though, even though you probably won't get the playoffs this year, but fortunately for you guys, I don't think you'll have to endure, or hopefully anyways, you won't have to endure a season like you had last season. I don't see that in the cards for the Red Wings this year, fortunately for them. I'm not a Detroit Red Wings fan, but I don't really hate them either. So for me, just to see any team kind of go through what the Red Wings went through last year, that was pretty brutal to watch. I don't really wish that on too many teams. It's not like the Red Wings were just this bad rebuilding team and they finished with like 60 points or something. I mean, they were just horrendously bad and just almost unwatchable for the fans. But guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below about the Red Wings. Especially if you're a Red Wings fan, I really want to hear from you. Do you think they're going to do better this year, or is it going to be, another year like last year? I don't think it will, like I said. But hey, even if it is another year like last year, at least you guys got great Motown music to listen to, especially from the Four Tops. You know, that's kind of the music I like to listen to when my team's going sideways. or when my life is going sideways. But for you guys, maybe you can listen to some great Four Tops music to cheer you up if the Red Wings season does really take a turn for the worse this year. Maybe you can do that. But all kidding aside, comment down below what you think. Please like and subscribe and share this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.